Hello, I'm Larry Stoll from Pace Turf, and this is another episode of Larry's Likes, where we take a little quick look at Twitter from the last week to see if there are some interesting posts. And there, of course, there always is. The first one that popped up was one from Mike Richardson, and he posted a picture of one of the, I believe this is a Bermuda grass selections that has white leaf. And if you have followed any of the plant pathology discussions on Twitter about whiteleaf, it's supposed to be caused by a phytoplasm, which this probably is because on Bermuda it's been pretty well described. But we've had trouble getting DNA analyses and good diagnostics on this particular disorder of Bermuda. There's whiteleafs on bent grasses and POAs. So it's kind of an interesting problem, which we're not perfectly sure what's going on. But anyway, that's whiteleaf. So there's some weird diseases popping up out here. This is a picture from Bjorn Hannesson, and he's from Ness Golf Club in Iceland, and they had some spectacular frost heaving issues on. This is a fairway. I don't know how you get that back to the way it's supposed to be, but it's definitely something that's interesting to look at. I forgot to mention that the post of the white leaf was from Dr. Mike Richardson at Arkansas, and so he's someone you probably should be familiar with. If you're not, you should follow him at any rate. He's a good guy. Sorry, Mike. Anyway, then we had some interesting work we're seeing from the folks at Helena. This is Aaron Martin posted a photograph of a piece of equipment he's working with. They didn't say which type of equipment it is, but it's supposed to be they've said it's an electromagnetic sensor. They have the Vertus electroconductivity meter sensors they're using in their RX360 program, so they seem to be doing some good stuff. You drag this around and you can find out some issues or some characteristics of the soils, and you can make some decisions on that. And I asked him if it was something like the work that we had done, Pace had done quite a long time ago on using the Geonix EM38, which is the sensor. It's an electromagnetic sensor, and it throws a field down in the soil, and it's also sensitive to soil moisture. So soil moisture and soil type are collected with a sensor like that, and we stuck it on with a Green Seeker NDVI sensor to map some things. And I think that if they keep going, or if the people in Helena are going to be working with EM technology, they got that's a lot of promise coming out of their work down there, I hope. And last week I told you we were going to see a lot of pictures sort of like these. These are from Paul Koch, which, as you all know, or you should know from last week, these at University of Wisconsin-Madison. And he's lamenting that it's a shame that the COVID-19 pandemic has caused everybody to be shut up indoors, because he's got a great trial. And people who have conducted trials, and I've conducted lots of trials, there's always something that seems to go wrong sometimes. But now he's got a perfect year. He's looking at this is one of those cases where it's Instrata applied on 1014 on the left and on 1026 on the right, and showing the dramatic difference in performance when you just get the application at the right time. So he's a little sad that people are not going to be able to see these results, but they're going to take some pictures and distribute them for everybody also. Micah Woods also sent out some information on his newsletter, and it's worth following Micah if you haven't. He's at the Asian Turfgrass Center, and he does a lot of great work. I work with him closely on the MLSN work also. We're not sure what happened in that particular situation, but so I'm going to go past it. This is work from Jim Brosnan, which I think most of you probably know who he is. He's at University of Tennessee, and he does a lot of weed work. He's very big on the POA control issues, and what he's showing here is that this curb application was applied in October, November, so that was applied early in the year when the turf was probably just starting to go into dormancy, and there wasn't too much damage. You can see it looks pretty good. But in the March applications of Trim-It and Anew, two applications as the turf is just coming out of dormancy, really in the Trim-It cases really set back the Mach 1 Ultra Dwarf Bermuda grass. And you can see there's a little bit of discoloration back here on the Anew treatments. And that was something that several other people who responded to the post replied that can happen, and you got to kind of watch out for the ultra dwarfs and coming out of dormancy in the spring, to be very careful. There was a little discussion about brown patch, the large patch, and some of Houston Couch's comments, which were pretty fun. So you can go back and look at that if you get a chance. But then Brian Dagnow put a photograph of his greens where he brought them up to 140, 0.140 inches moine height, and he's going to keep it there during this period of the COVID-19 to help him with his maintenance, keep his maintenance under control, and that'll also be good for the turf. That was been a discussion that's been going on, and there's been some webcasts from some professors around the country. If you want me to, I can dig some of those up for you. But raising mowing heights seems to be pretty commonly agreed upon as being a good way to go, whether you want to raise it up as high as 140 or you're going to raise it up to maybe 125 or what, depending on where you started out, is a conversation that might be interesting. Golfton published an article from Ben McGraw and Adam Van Dyke, and they're talking about flea beetles being a growing problem in the Southwest, and that's something that people ought to watch out for. And then to wrap it up for the things that I thought were pretty good last week was the relaunch of turf diseases, and Micah Woods had an article in the turf diseases about diseases and MLSN, and you can take a read on this thing, but pretty much the concept is if you have enough nutrients in the soil for healthy grass growth, you'll be fine. And that's a wrap for the week, and maybe we'll see something interesting again. I'm sure we will next week, and we'll see you then.